Oh, I'm just saying, while taking a shower, thanks to the power of Rain God Zaza. Oh, Nami, Robin. Oh, such beautiful straw-hatted women. Oh, I hope that someday Carrot can join the Straw Hat crew. Yamato too. Why not Vivi as well? Heck, even invite Lilith. I don't know. Invite anyone amongst the crew. Well, maybe not anyone. That would be getting too much. Ugh. You know what, Rain God Zaza, you are truly the best. Who would not love to have the powers of Rain God Zaza? To be able to have the ability to take a shower whenever you want, okay? Well, I guess if you're Nami with the power of Zeus, you've already got that wish granted, but still. Excuse me, a little privacy here? I'm in the middle of taking a shower and you have to come and interrupt me. What's the matter with you people? You couldn't hold your horses and waited for me? Oh. Okay, now that I'm all dried up, and now I am officially ready to get on with the video. Hey everybody, my name is 4D Clif. Yes, oh, and just to be very clear here, despite me having the D in my name, I'm sorry, but I'm not one of the Willa D members, okay? I know that's surprising. I know. It's like, dude, you have the D in your name. Dude, you must be a part of the D clan. You must be part of the Willa D. It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not. Uh, it's just a shame. It's just a shame. But you know what? If you guys really do believe that I am a part of the D clan, if you really do believe that I am part of the Willa D, I thank you very much. All right, thank you. But let's really get on to the topic of the video, all right? Let's really discuss what I want to talk about here, okay? And if you listen very carefully, you can definitely hear some thundering and lightning outside because we are in the middle of a storm. So I do want to get this video out as soon as possible, and I want to try and get it rolling as fast as I can, okay? I don't really like doing these so much during thunderstorms and everything, so let's just get on with the video and try to keep it down to a basic level, okay? All right. So let's start. Hey everybody, my name is 4D Cliff. Welcome, and I am back for a brand new video. So for today's video, I want to discuss the Rain God Zaza. All right. So Rain God Zaza was basically introduced in the most recent chapter, chapter 1182, at the very end. Now, this Rain God Zaza is probably not the official real one that we don't really know much about in general. Okay. So the way this entity sort of came about was thanks to Killingham's Delphoid power, right? Remember, Killingham's abilities actually allow him to basically bring dream or nightmare manifest. Dream or nightmare manifest basically allows him to basically bring forth your worst nightmares come to life, okay? And he brought forth his worst nightmare, right? Well, technically not just his, but it's something that a lot of like nobles around that, basically celestial nobles hearing stories and myths of the rain god Zaza, okay? And because they live on the higher lands like that of Mary Jawa, the idea of a rain shower that basically that can flood the entire world, right? A rain shower that's powerful enough to flood the entire world basically freaks them out because they are supposed to be on a high level to where the idea of rain falling on them shouldn't be possible, okay? Now, there's much about the red line that we still don't realize. There's much more about it that is in question to really ask about what this can entail, okay? So let's not really get into the whole geographical situation here or the red line and all that kind of stuff. Let's just take what we're basically given and basically just run with that, okay? All right. Now, here's something to discuss. Now, if you're really familiar with it, and you probably realize that Rain God Zaza is actually one of the four gods that was mentioned in Skypiea, okay? So during Skypiea, there was an announcement that was basically given in one of the chapters here where we learned of four gods. Now, at the time, a lot of people probably just assumed that this was basically just something that the worshippers did and stuff like that for belief, okay? We didn't really pay much mind to it and didn't really consider it until Luffy awakened as a sun god, but even that alone, a lot of people probably just assume, okay, well, maybe Luffy's the only sun god, okay? Luffy's the only god, but in reality, there is others out there, okay? And then it all came down to whether or not Oda would still continue with, okay? I mean, he is basically saying that One Piece is in its final arc and everything, so whether or not he would have actually wanted to continue using the other three gods is really hard to determine, okay? But the four gods that were mentioned here was the sun god, the rain god, the forest god, and the land god. Sometimes the land god is switched out with the earth god. And then I believe sometimes the rain god is sometimes mentioned as the sea god, okay? Now, it could be possible that those are two different entities and everything, two separate types of gods, but let's just assume that they're the same ones to get a better understanding, right? That way we're not getting off tangent and really focusing on the idea of it, all right? So Luffy is the sun god, all right? Luffy is the sun god, and you know what? Going back to it and everything, a lot with my previous videos and everything, whenever I discuss something about a god, the main focus I always talked about was a moon god, right? A moon deity in itself, right? And the idea of those videos that I've always discussed and everything was the idea of the power of the Delphoid, or the power that is given to the moon god, would basically give someone a body made of glass, right? Give them basically a glassy state body, right? That was one of the main focus and primary things I always thought about out itself, because I always thought it would be a very good comparison to contradict or compare to Luffy's rubber aesthetic abilities of the Gomu Gomu no Mi, okay? So if you think about it, the Gomu Gomu fruit, or basically the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, gives someone the, or basically gives someone the abilities of the Sun God Nika by giving them a bodies made of rubber, right? Now, that is in question itself, and really gets into the idea of it when you think about, okay, well, how does that affect Rain God Zaza and other things, right? Like, you figure that's something unusual here, okay? Think about that, okay? Let's just stop for a minute, okay? Think about the Rain God Zaza, right? She looks like she has, like, an entire body made of water. Like, she literally looks like a giant water itself, which is unusual. I mean, if you think about it, her befitting of a body made of rubber makes sense to have the idea of the rain god aesthetic to it, okay? She really fits that aesthetic to it itself. But then you look at Luffy with Sun God Nika, and he's supposed to be the sun god, but yet his body turns into rubber. I mean, yeah, rubber can definitely melt and stuff like that if you heat up to high temperatures and stuff like that. Rubber can melt, okay? So that is a questionable thing. That is a very questionable manner here to ask something very important here. Well, Rain God Zaza is a very unique aesthetic to her, okay? She's a very unique aesthetic design for it itself. And to really get into this, when I was always talking about the whole moon goddess glass aspect and everything, I always came up with different ideas, right? I always looked at different ideas and just kept looking at the properties and the assumptions of everything I could go over in itself. If you are interested, feel free to go check out some of those videos. I'll try to have a link to some of those videos down below and everything, but please feel free to go check them out if you want to, okay? So here's something, a bit of an idea, okay? Let's take that glass aspect, okay? Let's take it from the whole moon god situation here that I've always talked about and try to compare it to the rain god aspect, okay? Because what if that's something to do here, okay? What if we say that Rain God Zaza's body is made of glass, all right? But it's not just simple glass in itself, but yet, like basically, think of it this way, okay? Think of her body as being an empty shell, right? An empty glass that is empty, right? And what is an empty glass? Nothing but air. But what can you fill in a glass? Juice, milk, water, a mick. If you put an empty glass outside in the middle of a rain shower, and you go out there the next day, what are you going to find in there? Rainwater. So think about that. Just think about that real quick. Just think about that real quickly. And you know what? That could make a lot of sense. And that would also probably help with the idea of the whole Delphoid weakness kind of thing, because if her body's made of water, then how does that ruin the aspects of the idea of, you know, the whole Delphoid weakness kind of thing, right? You figure that kind of ruins the aspects of it, okay? Now, yes, if by chance Oda is introducing the Rain God Zaza and her body's made of water, that would be officially fine with me, all right? I'm not going to make any complaints and everything, but it does seem like there are some questionable aspects, right? And then getting into it, it's like that. The idea of this whole glass thing is, well, it's not much evidence and everything, but a lot of times if you look at the Rain God Zaza, right, if you look at her, really when you think about it, if you look at the outline of her, it's like that, it seems like she's, like the water is encased in something, right? Like the water is basically encased in something, right? She looks like a very clear, like a clear translucent or transparent being and everything that's made of glass, or like something that could be reflected, like glass, water, and all that kind of stuff and everything. But it does look like the water itself is contained in something rather than being let loose, right? Now, it definitely seems like she's able to control the glass and water itself. As we can see, she was able to basically sweep up and pick up the children and basically drown basically like they're drowning in water. Okay, now it is clearly showing that they're swimming here, and the celestial dragons are not intended on trying to kill them. Right now, they'll probably kill them eventually, but for right now, they need to probably keep them alive. Right, their whole idea here and the whole ambition is to get the giants of Elbaf to basically submit to them and to basically get them under their control as soon as possible, right? And killing the children right now would be a waste of time, right? They'll probably do it eventually, but for right now, they got to keep them alive. So there's that whole notion of itself. Now they did make the whole threat things like that they're gonna have the children walk off the edge if they didn't like burn the whole library and all that kind of stuff. But they are intending on trying to keep the children alive until the right moment has officially reached. Okay. And the idea of this rain god itself only brings up more questions than anything. Like, and then it comes down to the whole idea of, well, when do we meet the land god? When do we meet the fourth god? All right, have we already met them? What is the point of it? Okay. Oh, and just to be very clear here, Zaza is an onomatopoeia sound for the for like a heavy rain shower, for a heavy downpour. Okay, that's basically what Zaza is. It's an onomatopoeia sound to basically mimic the sound of rainfall itself, right? Especially during a rushing, gushing fall. Now, we don't know who could have the Rain God Zaza power, right? There are a few good candidates we can look at. You can look at Monkey D. Dragon. There is the idea of him always being part of a storm and everything. There definitely seems to be that as a possibility. Other than that, you also have the idea, some people think that Vivi will attain the power, or obviously that is something to look at and consider, especially with the whole situation with Alabasta and stuff like that, and the whole idea of how Rain was very important for that arc in itself. Okay. And aside from Vivi, the only other person that I would probably think that would have a really good comparison here to actually have the ability would be Nami herself. Now, I talked about Nami a lot, and I've actually used Nami as the main basics for the whole Moon Goddess aspect. And truth be told, I would still like to focus and still believe that intentionally, but I do believe the whole Rain God aspects is a very good idea of it. Okay, I do feel like it has a very good importance here, and her having the powers of the Rain God Zaza along with Zeus would make her a very formidable person. All right, a very interesting thing to basically consider when you really think about it. Okay, a really good idea of it. Okay. No. So overall, it's hard to really assume. Okay, I don't really know the whole basics of it. I don't know how this is going to turn out and everything. But obviously, Oda is planting something here, and he's obviously doing something to really get the ball rolling. Okay, we're introduced to the Rain God Zaza, so now it comes down to the fact of, okay, well, when do we meet the fourth? When do we meet the land? Okay, and when you think about it, it's these four gods actually make a lot of sense here because they actually have a good reference to the idea of Delph fruits themselves. Okay, so take for instance, right? So sun, rain, trees, and the land itself. What do these all have in common? All right, they all have very important things to focus on in the cycles of the basically the plant kingdom itself. Right, and plant kingdom would also include fruits and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. These are part of the plant kingdom. All right, you know, sunlight and water provide nutrients like that. Okay, sunlight provides photosynthesis and everything. Rainwater basically allows the plants to drink and everything. The roots and the soil oils basically allow them to basically sustain themselves into the ground. And obviously the trees are there to basically serve as a home of protection. Okay, so there are a lot of important things here overall. Okay, so really the whole purpose of this video and the whole aspects and discuss and everything was to basically just talk about Rain God Zaza, okay? And basically mention the idea that what if it's possible that her body is made of glass, okay? That her body can be made of some type of glass material that can change its shape overall, and that she can fill this power up, okay? That one of the aspects of the moon goddess that I talked about was the idea of an empty glass, okay? An empty glass that can be filled up. And that would be a very interesting idea of it, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saying it's 100% true, but it's just something I wanted to talk about and something I wanted to mention. Just something to basically discuss and just to see how everything turned out. All right, that's pretty much the idea of it, and that's pretty much the whole basic idea I wanted to discuss. So that will do it for everything to do for this video. Nothing else to really discuss here, but that is it. Thank you for joining me for a brand new video, okay? So before I end off the video like that, here is like a quick picture of Nami and everything. I do feel like I want to have her up decent and for the video itself and everything. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you had a great time here. So let's just end off the video by saying please subscribe to the channel, hit notification bells, and please stay tuned for another video as soon as possible. You all have a great day. Goodbye, everybody.